Going on, people? Today we're going to have a very different type of stream. I grew up poor. Did you? I want you to tell me about your experiences growing up poor in the comments. If you grew up poor, and we'll define poor as you don't have anything. And I'll get into deeper explanations. The reason I'm doing this is this is a preparation. Because in my last video, I knew people was like, well, everybody don't have money like you. I didn't start getting money until the age of 32. I'm currently 51. So that means most of my life I didn't have money. The majority of my life until I turned 64, then it'll even out at 64, which is 14 years away, 13 years away. So no, we're not even close to this. All right, making sure that this stream, because it's acting up. It's been weird today. I think I need to turn my computer off and turn it back on. There might be a little buffering, there may not, but we're gonna roll through it. Now, one of the things that I want to convey to you, and let's start off with poor. What is poor? We're gonna define poor as you're always struggling. We're going to define poor as you make less than $30,000 a year. One of the things that happened to me when I was poor is I woke up many mornings shivering because we ran out of gas. Then we had to go down to my Aunt Evelyn's house and spend the night until my Aunt Evelyn loaned / gave my mom some money to turn the gas back on. That happened a lot. And this was when winters were cold. I mean, there used to be 4 distinct seasons in the South. There used to be ice on the ground every winter. That happened quite a bit. Another thing that happened was, because we were poor enough to be on government assistance, food stamps, that government cheese, the free lunch program, all of that. And I absolutely hated it. I hated because my mother was a single mother, I was in charge of going to get the food stamps. So I would be in line with all these adults getting the food stamps. And because my mother was a single mother, I had to do shopping and spend those food stamps. I hated that shit. I absolutely hated it. It was just one of the worst things ever to me. So I think I made a decision early in life that I wasn't going to be poor. And it took me a while to get there, but for those of you who want to say like, well, you got money, I'm willing to bet you that you grew up in a better position than I did financially. I'm willing to bet you cash money. You know why I'm willing to bet you this? Because you ain't hungry. There is no hunger in you. There is no drive. There's no internal hustle. There's external hustle. Hey, look at me. I'm hustling. I'm making this happen. But there ain't nothing internal. There's no internal fire because you had it so good most of your life. And people are quick to marginalize the hard work, the effort of someone because it doesn't fit their narrative. Someone just did that to me in the comment section and I deleted it. Well, you got money. And I was like, because I asked them a simple question. Did you grow up poor? They didn't get back to me. And it's real interesting when I get these simple, non-offensive, like, hey, did you grow up poor? Nothing. Because that, essentially what people want to do is invalidate my success, marginalize my success. I did not have any inheritance. In fact, now that I've done this before, but now that I've deconstructed it, I actually started late on life because of the financial help that I was giving my family. It wasn't my money. I couldn't do what I needed to do with it. Essentially, all my money was going to feed a family. So from 18 to about 6 years, 24, then got married at 26, then became liberated at 32. 32 was the age that I had more control over my money because it wasn't going to someone else who was needy. Because there's a lot of talk about taking care of poor people, helping poor people out. I have a different opinion on that. I think you should help people who want help. I think you should help people who are trying. Just because you're breathing don't mean you're trying. And there's a lot of people who are breathing who are faking the funk, who are acting like they're doing something when they're not really doing anything. They're not doing their best. But if you are someone of means and you don't want to help them, then you're a bad person. You're a very, very bad person. Glendon Cameron, you're a very, very bad person. You have resources, you have things, you should help the community. Let's talk about that. Oprah created this $1 million school in Africa. Didn't work. Just didn't work. When you create a school and you don't have an accountability program embedded in that school, typically ain't gonna work. People just disregard free, even if it's from a billionaire, even if it's from a celebrity. I would say programs to help kids, where you give money to a program that's already up and running to help kids, I think that's beneficial. But just to throw money at people who ain't doing nothing, ain't gonna never help. It's just not. And one of the things that happened to me from being poor was I have this drive. Because once again, I guarantee you, if you look into the backgrounds of many of the people, many of my distractors, you'll find out that they grew up much better than I did economically. But they're not where I'm at economically today. And I have a theory, and I'm gonna float this theory, and I'm gonna share it with you. I feel that if you have too much handed to you, that it kills your drive. I feel that if your life is too cushy, if you don't have like, I got some friends who are very well off and they were on their kids like ninjas. They pushed them, they shamed them, they talked junk about them. They didn't just let them grow up in the lap of luxury. Oh, no, 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 no. And they both turned out to be very good people, coming from a wealthy family, because they told them there was accountability. Now remember the oldest one, she had moved out and they didn't like the decision, so they just stopped giving her money, and her power got cut off, and she called them and she's like, well, I need some money from my power. And it's like, I'm sorry, we can't help you. And she's like, what do you mean you can't help me? You got money. It's like, you chose to move out. You chose not to follow our rules, so you're on your own. So she had to borrow some money from her friend to pay her electric bill. Many people will be like, that's cold, that's cruel. They should have paid. No, 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 no. Because see, there's this book, How Children Succeed, and it talks about these lessons. And there are many adults who just have never learned how to take care of themselves. They've never had to be responsible for themselves. And the sooner that you start giving these lessons to children, the better off they're going to be as adults. Because like I said, I'm just here today. You know, we're having this conversation because the comment was in reference to my last video. And, you know, it's really funny. The dichotomy of this is so funny. When I first came on YouTube, I was a snake oil salesman. I was a scammer. I was just taking people's money. I was a bad person. I didn't have any money because, see, for a long time I played a role. I did my videos in front of a white wall so people couldn't tell what I was doing. And what happened is, of late, if you're talking about making money and you don't look like money, nobody's going to listen to you. It's just facts. There ain't no reason to be mad. It's just facts. Because if you watch my early videos, you know how I was living. And that's part of the reason is I knew that there would be jealousy. Something I experience on my Facebook page all the time, because this is how it starts. First, it starts with people not agreeing with me, which is well and cool. But I've developed this profile. You're going to like it. It's really cool. First stage is they disagree with me on several posts to get some shine. Then the second stage is they start low-key hating directly in the comments. And then the third stage is they'll have a bad day or something. They'll come on my page. They'll see something they don't like and they will go slap off. This has happened so many times because typically I monitor behavior. I was like, okay, why did this person do this? So I've seen the pattern. So essentially, I got some people on my page I'm probably about to get rid of because they've already moved to stage 2. So the going off thing is coming. And essentially all I've done is live my life on my terms. That's it. You know, there's a lot of people who disagree with me about my views. You're allowed to disagree, that's fine. But the thing is, when people start calling me names, stupid, coon, all this other stuff, you gotta leave the reservation. You gotta leave. Your visa is no longer welcome here, so we're gonna stamp it void and we're gonna eject you because these people are distractions. What do you think? Let's unpack this. I'm sitting here putting out a message of self-empowerment, economic empowerment, self-improvement. And I got people who want to fight me on that saying, oh, it can't be done. Think about that. Not people who are saying, let's do this together. Okay, well, some of y'all, I should say some of y'all get the message. Some of you are very supportive, and I appreciate that. We got folks out here who are, as my friend called it, demo people. They would rather tear something down that they can't have than to support it. And this is very different from the people that I grew up with in this poor neighborhood, because we were probably, I think the Bruces were poorer than we. Actually, yeah, they had a refrigerator door as their front door of their house. That's the kind of neighborhood I lived in. I lived in a neighborhood that many people still, we weren't the only ones without running water in the house. There were still people using our houses and they got much better. But I would say hands down, we were probably the poorest in the bottom 3. Can't say the top 3, the bottom 3. We're probably in the bottom 3. And there were some people who had it worse than we did. Now, the thing about this is, when you're a kid, you don't really understand or know that you're poor. You're just living, you're going out in the yard, running around, playing games, looking at birds, experiencing life. You don't even know you're poor. But the minute you go to school, you start to see the dichotomy. You start to see like, they got a brand new Le Mans. Our car about to fall apart. They got better clothes than we do. And it just starts happening. And in elementary school, it's not really that bad because a lot of kids are still kids. But what happens is when because you have your elementary school and then it feeds into a middle school. That's when stuff started to go crazy. We didn't have any racial problems at Adamsville Elementary. We really didn't. None of the teachers, but see, the populations were almost equal. Then we went to Bodenfield, it became like 70%, 30%. Things drastically changed. Drastically. Because some of the white people were indoctrinated with racism by other young white kids whose fathers were ardent racists. I remember this guy named Tom. And Lisa was hanging with me and Ricky because she was from Adamsville. And Tom was like, psst, psst, Lisa, come here. So Lisa, Lisa's reasonable. She goes over. And I hear him. He's like, what are you doing hanging with them? They're black. And Lisa said, I went to school with them. They're my friends. No, they're not. They're not your friends. And within 6 weeks, Lisa was indoctrinated. Just that quick. And I was sitting there like, how did that happen? And I saw her about 10 years ago and ran into her because I was back home. And I actually said, it's like, what you did? That was really messed up. And she tried to act like it didn't happen. I was like, no, it did happen. And she's like, no, I'm not like that. I'm not like that. I'm like, very, very fun. And part of the dynamic of growing up poor is, I will say, a lot of my classmates who got that lesson of self-sufficiency, they may not make, quote, a lot of money, but they have their own house, they live by themselves. This was common. But for some reason, you've got kids who are coming from middle-class backgrounds, solid middle-class backgrounds, who are still living at home with their parents. It is a thing of, you can do too much for your children. Now, I was in a situation where not enough was done for me, and I've come to terms with it. There was a lot of bad things that went down. This is why, as from the vantage point of being a kid in that situation, this is why I think single motherhood is a bad idea, because I was a product of it. And let's keep it a buck. That's the new thing. My mom pimped me. My mom put me on the host roll, her own son. And that should tell you the depths of female nature. It should tell you that, everything you need to know right there. And then when I emancipated myself from the situation, which resulted in me repossessing my car from my mother, she didn't talk to me for 2 years. Now, for 3 years, I sent home probably like $700, $800 a month because I was getting BAQ. Nah, thank you. Nothing. Entitlement is very, very bad. Entitlement is very dangerous. So one of the reasons I've come up with these views is they have worked for me. When I used to, I actually went to some of Minister Farrakhan's earlier talks. I liked the message. It was about self-sufficiency. It was about power. But I just couldn't get behind all that hate. Just couldn't. I feel that you can be better than a group of people and not denigrate this group of people. But just like the Trump cult, the cult of Trump, the message is filled with division, it's filled with hate, it's filled with fear. Minister Farrakhan, it's filled with hate, it's filled with fear. You see the parallels there? Because I don't know if it's primal, but when you just tell people that they need to do the right thing, that doesn't seem to touch people. But when you say, like, look, if you let that darkie over here, he gonna take your job. Gets people going. Now, I will say there's something I saw. And this is, and I've just noticed this. There was this place I used to go to, and it had white servers. Now, all the servers are Hispanic. Because when there was this Hispanic boycott, they closed. Then I noticed another place, and there's a Chick-fil-A. I don't know when this happened, but the staff, which used to be mostly white, a few black folks, is now 100% black. I have a feeling it has something to do with immigration laws and Trump and stuff. I just do. But it's 100% black. It's still Chick-fil-A. The food's still good. Food's still the same. Service still the same. So it's just very, really interesting. But how many of you grew up like really poor? I'm talking about gas being shut off. Let me tell you about the electricity. I come home. This is a really messed up story. And I flip the light switch and nothing happens. Now, this is in the age before cell phones. This is before pagers. So I called when my mother was working. She had left, so I had to wait till she got home. And I met her at the door and I said, the power's off. She cussed me out. Now, I'm an adult now, and I realized that she was so ashamed, she was so burdened that all the emotion came out, and it just came out on me. And I just walked around the corner and didn't say nothing. And these are the things that happen to kids in single parent homes where the parent doesn't have the resources. These kids take a lot of abuse, verbal and mental, but no one talks about it. Well, you get to talk. Your mom did the best she could. Absolutely not true. Absolutely not true, because I have this really good memory. It sometimes occurs, and I remember the conversations my Aunt Evelyn had. I remember the conversations my Aunt Lillian had, and my mom just didn't want to listen. Now, a part of that is when you have these situations, they can build you up or they can tear you down. And you had a lot of people, and especially in the cities, who got torn down. You had beautiful girls out there giving it up, sucking dick for $2 because they needed that rock. Crack really changed a lot of communities. But once again, hold on. Jamal 510, you have a lovely day. I'm gonna move slow. There we go. Ain't BS. I was there. And he had a lot of hate, Jamal 510. And see, this is one of the problems. We don't have people who want to deal with the truth. I heard this with my own. See, I'm not supposed to listen to my ears or listen to my eyes. I'm supposed to believe in Jamal because he said that. Mr. Farrakhan has said many hateful, mean-spirited things. This is true. Maybe he's mellowed in his old age. But, and once again, let's just put this here. If you believe in white supremacy and you believe in the low expectations, you probably want to unsubscribe from this channel. Because all I'm going to do is piss you off because I'm not buying that, and the people who are riding with me, and there's a lot of people riding with me, and I appreciate that. We ain't buying that. We ain't going for the okie doke. We're going to work hard. We're going to build businesses. We're going to make some money. And we're going to leave you and your dusty views behind. Because you think that it's just some anomaly that all these black folks are running to the Republican Party? You can be hanging out with a bunch of racists and get benefits, and you can be hanging out with your people and get killed. But nobody wants to say that. Nobody wants to talk about that. That's being mean and talking bad about black folks. So, all right. All right, let's get into these comments. Let's see what's going on. Because, see, I've taken a very hard stance because many of you come across a YouTube channel, you don't like the content, you don't subscribe, you don't watch. But there's many folks who are trying to marry me to their low expectations. They're trying to marry me to their piss poor work habits. They're trying to marry me to their submission to a false narrative. They're on their knees to this false narrative. I'm not going for it. What's up, Josh Barr? Keep hustling. What's up, Raquel? Although I grew up in the projects, I really wasn't poor. Tim A. Mitchell McCauley. I did not grow up poor at all. My dad is definitely a beta, and my mom is the person who keeps putting money into assets, and my dad keeps on purchasing happiness through material things. That's wild, man. What's up, Excalibur? Since reality, I grew up poor, but not in poverty. The light and gas would go out because mom could not pay the bills. That's kind of close to, well, no. Was it like once a year? Now, I should be clear. During the winter, this would happen no less than 7 to 12 times. Serious. So, since the real, also my mom would have to have male roommates to help pay the bills. Thankfully, the roommates were civil. That's deep. Your mom ran the boarding house. Yes, Excalibur. All right, well, let me tell you why I did the shopping. Our refrigerator was broken. The ice maker didn't work, so we had to go shop for groceries every day. We didn't have a car, so I had to walk to the grocery store. And the jokes. It's funny now. At the time, I was hot because people would get up and they would start walking and they say, "Who am I?" And they're like, "It's Glendon going to the store." Yeah. I mean, kids are ruthless. And this went on for many years because I didn't understand saving. Well, I was a kid. She didn't understand savings. We could have got a refrigerator probably at the time for $150. But once again, it was always a situation of lack. And I should say, be thankful to my mom because of the way that she lived. I absolutely refused to live that way. Absolutely refused to live that way. What's up, the DSLO Chronicles? What's up? Les Brown, you got to be hungry. I mean, that's a reality there. What's up, Johnny? About millions. I grew up poor, Section 8 housing, eating hot dogs and fried bologna sandwiches for years. But my dad got out of jail and built a $100,000 per year landscaping business, so it was a bigger turnaround later. That's a beautiful story, man. About millions. That is a beautiful story. Big ups to your dad. Christian, what's up? Dre the man. We're talking about being poor here today. What's up, Christian Alexander? NC Administrative Consulting. Never experienced poverty until I got much older. I deserved to work part-time until my son goes to middle school. He starts next year. Wow. Real full metal. Being poor helped me build character. I will say, how you take it, definitely that's something that can happen. About millions, watching him build that has made me want to be successful and hungry. Well, about millions, your father was a model. You saw him build something from nothing. That's one of the legacies that he gave you. That's why I said big ups to your dad. What's up, Mentor Shelley? Douglas Jones? Mark Zuckerberg gave $100 million to New Jersey school and was gone as well. It's funny. DJ Slink, some people are meant to be sheep and some are wolves. I agree. That's natural selection. Archangel, yes, it's like the millionaire next door. Most affluent people become enablers to their children. It's a strange situation, but I've seen that. What's up, Dwight Ruddock? Appreciate you. Erica Williams. Know a wealthy black man. Father has 230 monthly rental checks. Son got everything. Went to the NFL brutally and went to jail doing foolish things. Then he got the father's program. They have to want it. Wow, that's a story. That is a wild story. Richard Brandon. I have both parents need to graduate high school. Had me and my brothers young. Missed out on a lot of life lessons. Richard Brandon, just knew as a child I only wanted to own my own, only now learning how to. And that's a really interesting point because when I was 32, this is when I began this journey. I was in that boarding house and I started facing some harsh truths. I started to realize that life did not work the way that I was told. I felt miseducated and I started to take action, and I used to call it Scheme Incorporated. I actually named my mental company and the things I would do. Funny story. Funny story. I know somebody who was trying to help their friend get a better job because they felt that their job was not paying them well enough. So what my friend did was they cooked up this scheme where the girl turned in her resignation and she presented them with an offer letter, how much this new company was going to pay her, and they offered her $40,000 more than what she was making. So she kept her job and moved up. And it was a version of what I did to get the job. It really crazy. Someone just told me the story the other day, and I was just like, oh my God, it still works. It still works. I didn't think it would work today, but I think it's a little different because she already was part of the company. But that's how she got a $40,000 a year increase. That's better than a raise. Just thought I'd throw that out there because that just had me tickled. Douglas Jones, Christopher Penn, Eric Douglas, Paul Newman's son, Anna Nicole Smith's son, all grew up rich and are all now quite dead. 3 of the 4 were dope addicts, and O.D. Douglas was a dope fiend too. The guy that, I forget his name, but the guy that killed those girls, he was like one of the first incels. His father was a producer, I believe, on Jurassic Park. What's up, Crystal Davis? Hello, and yes, I did grow up poor. We had enough food. Bills were struggles. Clothes were not expensive. Mom did her best. Archangel, that's right on your terms unapologetically. And that's something that really gets a lot of hate. Because I'm being myself. that right there, because like I said, I got 2, and today after the stream, I'm just like, you know what? You know what's going to happen. They've moved to stage 2. It's only a matter of time before they start really coming after you, because they're demo people. They both present themselves to be very successful, but this is what I've noticed about really successful people. They're usually very helpful. Very helpful. They're not jealous. Because they got so much money. They're like, you ain't gonna compete with me. If you do, good. We both got a gang of money. There's just a weird, different vibe from people who are pretending to be successful than folks who are actually successful. And those tend to be some of the biggest haters. I mean, because I got, well, one, he went off earlier and I didn't stoop to his level. Another one, yeah, he's disagreed like 5 times. So he's definitely in stage 2. Sky Blevin, I grew up spoiled and need help with motivation. Man, your parents robbed you of your motivation. Cool Breeze, I'm from Bessemer, Alabama. That's where my Aunt Lillian lives. Brighton, which was part of Bessemer. Did you go to McAdory? I grew up poor, not poor. I felt the struggle and helped with my hustle mindset. Health and weight and real talk. I grew up lower middle class because my parents' habit of gambling. For 1 year, we lived with my aunt and grandmother in their 2-bedroom apartment. My sister and I had to sleep in their living room. That sound poor. Health, wealth, and real talk. That sounds like poor. That sounds like poverty right there. North from NYC Administrative Consulting. My mother told me she didn't realize that she was poor until she took an economics class in college. She was born in 1948. I would say I can see that because most people were in the same boat. So if everyone is doing the same thing, you're not really poor. You have to be exposed to something to make you go like, oh, I ain't like that. I don't roll like that. I don't live like that. I just finished working on my budget and my ass is poor now. A budget don't lie, play. Gee, it don't. What's up, Dre the Man? And see, this is something else with Jamal 510. He doesn't agree with me, but his ass hasn't gone anywhere. He's still watching this. This is what I'm talking about, these demo people. You know, if someone like disagrees with me on the video in the comments, like, okay, fine, I feel this way, and I move on. But they can't move on because there's something I'm doing that's got these folks triggered. Triggered like crazy. Zola, even girls from middle school holding them accountable, man. You preach what you practice. I was a weird little kid. I remember that cheerleader that I gave the demerit in the hall pass, and Mr. Phillips was around the corner looking. I knew she didn't like me. I knew she wasn't going to be my friend. That was just in the moment, say something like to get out of a jam, and then she just go back to being her evil self. Oh, she is fat. I mean, she ain't like chubby. She's doubled in size, literally, because back then she was like 120. She's about 240, 260 now. And all she posts on her Facebook page are church pictures. She in church, she making that chicken. She's making that chicken and she's eating a lot of it too. Johnny Walton, I had cousins who had to eat red clay because they did not have any food. I didn't have to eat red clay, but for some reason I ended up doing that. What's up, Zola? Cool Breeze. Mom was welfare and child support pimp till she married a military man, aka hit the lotto at the grass. Jamal 510 is still here. It's very interesting. About me, you're a better man than me, man. It's hard to give people that have fucked you over. How did you forgive your family after that? At first, I was still confused. When it happened, it was just like, because once again, I was very young and I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand the game. And later on, I didn't really think about it because I was dating this chick, then we got married, then we had kids. Only when I was in that boarding house did I reflect back, because I was just too busy, and I think I didn't really want to think about it. I really didn't want to think about it. And we just developed this, I would go visit my mom like once or twice a year, and that was about it. Just out of respect, but we never were close. What's up, Christian? Big nephew, 87 crack era. That's funny. When I left to join the military, it was 1985. 1987, because I was sending home money. My brother sent me a newspaper clipping of like 9 of my friends that got caught up in this drug bust. And it was big nephew, it was 1987. That's when crack, probably 86, came to burn. It's like I had missed that. And a lot of my friends got caught up with it. Excalibur, with the way you're defining poor, I didn't grow up poor, but my mom didn't make 30K though. Yeah, because I'm like, oh, this is what I'm saying. Because when someone's like, hey, you got money, it wasn't always like this. It wasn't, this is new to me, because power going out, lights going out, gas going out. Well, power and lights are the same thing. One thing, the water never got shut off because the water was super cheap. But food, I remember, there was a lot of times we just had grilled cheese sandwiches because they got that free government cheese. And I think they were giving out bread or something, or bread was cheap. So that's how we did that. Hamburger helper, pork and beans and hot dogs. A lot of those meals. Yeah. Man, big nephew, 87. I'm sorry to hear that. Mom was on crack. Crystal Davis. I went to school with girls who ate red clay on the way to school. There's a lot of things. I'm going to tell you this sad story. There was this girl. And fortunately, I wasn't one of the mean people, but I didn't befriend this girl. Her name was Angela. They were probably worse off than we were. And Angela, she came to school with a dirty face. That's what she was. So now that I'm a mature adult and I can realize she had a lot of bad stuff that was happening to her. She was a white girl. She was teased relentlessly. I don't even know what happened to her. It was bad because she was dirty. She had dirt on her fingernails. They were poor. There were some people in my neighborhood who lived in houses with no heat. Juggy. There was this guy. I don't even know his real name. This guy was Juggy. Juggy got into bestiality. Juggy got caught with a goat. So nobody would really, it was just a lot of stuff. I remember my mom wanted a trailer so bad because a trailer would have been a come up for us. That's how bad it was. Let's see. Go back. Good Lord. All right, here we go. Archangel, I did. I was blessed. My pops died. My mother put me in military school with his Social Security check. I had some friends who used to get those checks. I didn't understand how that worked until later. Camilla Willow. People don't want to deal with the truth because it hurts and they don't know how to deal with it. Big nephew still fucked up about that era because it destroyed my family. Wow. Mentor Shelley, I did experience some verbal abuse as a teenager because of my mom's hatred for my dad. I did have the opportunity to address those issues with her before she passed. Maturity helps. This is one of the things, and I'm not trying to bash on single mothers. I think that when a woman puts herself in the position of being a single mother, now that's one thing if she was married and the husband died, that's totally different, even for the kids, because they know dad's gone, he ain't coming home. But that's one of the quickest ways to poverty, and that's one of the quickest ways to abuse. I used to work in the children's emergency room. I saw these kids come in all the time, and everyone freaked out. Now, if it was the dad, everybody wanted to jump on him, right? But if it was the mother, they was like, well, she needs help. And I remember Joe Simon was like, lock that bitch up. That's what he said, lock that bitch up. She harmed a child. He was the chief doctor in the emergency room. It was his emergency room. Christian, I remember growing up, we did not have power. We had to spend the night at a relative's house. I see that I ain't the only one. What's up, big nephew? We definitely gonna go. Cool breeze, black people started the Republican Party. I did not know that. Teddy the Dom, being poor and staying poor is different. Those are facts. Those are definitely facts. Archangel, oh wow, y'all, really? I'm Muslim from Chicago. That's the specific reason why Malcolm left the nation. Once again, see, this is one of the things that happen with these people. They know the truth, but because you disagree with them, they gonna act like that truth didn't appreciate your Archangel, because that's why Malcolm left. He went to Mecca and saw that people were people, Muslims were Muslims. It's probably what got him shot. Von B, there's a lot of them. There's a bunch of them. Damn, Johnny. I remember when we were young, we had to catch rainwater because we had no running water. Dre the man, I grew up poor to a single mother in Detroit to a very murderous environment. What's up, Edward Coke? The minister's a great man. His meat gods are primal, brain driven. Been the bartender. I didn't experience being really poor till I moved out. Yep, paper food stamps that look like Monopoly money. I agree with that 100%. Teddy the Don. Von B. Man, going through tough times definitely will mold you if you know how to stay firm. I agree with that. But see, everybody ain't built for that life. A lot of people, they can't stay firm. Dang, $10 would cause wars in my household. I actually saw, and this is sad, but it was entertainment. We had a crackhead, and we had a male crackhead, and we had a female crackhead. And they were fighting in the living room over a rock. And the female crackhead was butt naked. And the male crackhead had a t-shirt on. Nothing else. Dick hanging all out. And I'm watching because I have nothing else to do. And they're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So the next thing they do, they start fucking. And he starts talking shit. Take this dick, you cracky crack. You ain't gonna make me tap out. You ain't gonna make me tap out. Yeah, I was watching them. And I almost cried because I realized this was what my life had became. Watching two crackheads fight over a rock and then end up fucking in the living room. And then dude we used to call Preacher, he came out of this room, pulled out his chair, and he watched. It's sad, I know, but we were just like, he's like, man, we here. Might as well watch. Oh, man. What's up, Lamode? John Doe, I did indeed. Dirt poor, I have 10 siblings, so just imagine. That means you at the dinner table first, because if you was last, you got scraps if you got anything at all. Poor is no good. It motivated you. One man's way. I went into the Marines for that 3 meals a day. All the dudes who were in the military, you remember, I don't know who in the 80s, I don't know how they do it now, but you remember those meatball MREs? Man, those things were amazing. We used to trade them. Like, you got the meat, I'll give you 2 and give me those meatballs. And there was these donuts. I don't know what this guy did in Hawaii, but those are the best donuts ever. I think because we were so deprived that everything was just had an extra taste and extra flavor. Dre the Man, I'm 30, we're on the same journey. And that's one of the things that happens to a lot of men that grow up in that situation. Instead of starting in your 20s, building your inner economics, you got to sort out so much stuff for 10 to 15 years that someone who grew up in a stable environment with two parents, or one parent, because you know, all single mothers are not the same. There are some women who make a lot of money and they can't give the kid everything, but the kid's not waking up cold. The kid's not waking up hungry. And that's something to be said and appreciated about that. Health Wealth, I'm facing some painful truth to get out of this class. My YouTube channel, Health, Weight, and Real Talk, will help move up along with the books I'm writing. It's a journey, man. It's a journey. Douglas Jones, I went to school with 96% white kids straight through high school. They cut me out of all the social activities by the time I was 12, and some of them jumped me when I was 13. It totally sucked. There's something about human nature when the demographics change, because I know what it is for a black woman to be dating today. I know exactly how that feels, because when I was at Schofield Barracks, the ratio of black women to black men was like 1 to 50. So for every black woman, there was 50 black dudes. Man, until I got some game, it was horrible. And my first year, I spent mostly off island. Wow, man, that sucks, Douglas. But I'm pissed that at 30, the light always goes off. I don't think if my wife and I stayed together, I don't think the light will ever went off. Thanks, Douglas Jones. John Doe is really going off. Simone. It was funny, man, because I was like, that still works. I didn't know. I like that, Von B. Thank you, Richard Moore. Von B. Facts. Successful people want other people to keep them sharp, but you have to ask the right questions. Do you see the same way? Cobra's. Oh, you went to Jess Lanier. All right. Crystal Davis. Haters have disputed negativity here and there. They thrive on it. Yeah, they always look for reactions. Their feelings ground. You got it going on and you're a strong black man. A threat. I never considered myself a threat, but the way that, I don't really talk about this stuff because YouTube has gone through several different versions for me, because when I started, I was the only black dude in resale, but I happened to be one of the founding fathers. There was a lot of white people that had a problem with that. A lot. They used to do 3-hour hangouts about me, and this is where the snake oil salesman, the charlatan, all this stuff came from. And I've outlasted each and every last one of them. That's the funniest thing. All the people who are really going after me are gone, or, well, I think 1 or 2 still making videos, but this channel ain't going nowhere. And it's funny. It really is, because there was a lot of racism. And that's why I have this stance, because if so-called white supremacy was all that, why didn't they win? It was me against damn near 15 other people. Me. I felt like one of those kung fu masters where, you know, they're coming out the ceiling, they just kept coming and kept coming, and I was just like, you know what? Put my hand in the ground and said, I'm gonna weather the storm, and I'm gonna get these motherfuckers. And I did. I got 3 of them channels deleted. So that's why I have these feelings, because they ain't nothing. They're like zombies. When they get together, they can be a little rowdy, but one-on-one, they ain't nothing. Nothing. Mr. Lane, I agree 100%. Health and Wealth. It was for 1 long year that we were able to get a 3-bedroom apartment and the gambling stopped. That's tragic, man. That really is tragic. Health waif and real talk. I'm sorry that happened to you because the scars that has left on you. I mean, that's hard to deal with. That guy was probably not getting no love. Could be. She Kelly Price in 1996. Man, I forgot about Kelly Price. Von B, when we lived in New Jersey, I didn't realize we were undercover living poor. When we moved to Florida, I started to see the difference. Crystal Davis, a lot of mean girls from back in the day look a hot man. Crystal, you ain't never lied. Sometimes I go to my other, because I separate my Facebooks because there was just too much drama on my first Facebook page. And I created this new page just for people, and a lot of folks joined, so I just don't have that drama. But whenever I go over there, I'm like, Jesus. And then I have some friends who look the same as they did in high school. Same weight, same look, everything. Von B couldn't tell my Jersey friends about their Florida life. It's sad, man, but I understand exactly why you couldn't. JCH, I grew up dirt poor. When I was 16, I supported my family, 2 parents plus a little brother and sister on $5.15 an hour. Dad fell off a roof, broke his back, and couldn't work for a few years. That's tough, man. Cool Breeze. Yeah, that red clay. A lot of old people would eat it. I mean, this is what we're talking about, because anytime someone comes at me like, you got money, I didn't always have money. It was a process, and it's a process that many of you can overcome. Now, it ain't going to be quick. It's not going to be easy, but it's doable. Let's put it that way. When your family fucked you over and you realize you just walked out the matrix, I thank them for the lessons. And they never sat me down and told me the real estate game. I just realized when I bought one. Wow. Crystal, government cheese was the best. That's crazy. I know, man. That was a staple. Choker sandwiches, a lot of peanut butter and a little bit of jelly. I tell you, I see a lot of people going way back. All right, hold on. It jumped. My opinion, let's see. Cosmic Wisdom. Yep, Cool Brews. I grew up between Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and Prince George County. I made mud pies from red clay. Didn't eat it, though. My upcoming was 2 parents, upper middle class. Didn't forget the classic peanut butter and jelly. Mr. Lane, I still eat those meals. Gotta be on code until things get better. All about not wasting money. Poor is such a mindset. I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit there. Poor can be a very real and tragic thing. Poor people work harder. It's very expensive being poor. Charlotte, the gate came on. The guilt came on to him. Juggy, I want to say Juggy was weird, but Juggy wasn't weird. Juggy came from a dysfunctional family, so his behavior was appropriate. I know, man. It's a lot of weird stuff went on in Adamsville, Alabama. Jay Castro. At the very least, he didn't have to worry about STD. Oh, man. Woo. Latasha got to go. Oh, man. Crystal, my mom had to leave my alcoholic father who beat her often. She left to keep from killing him, and yes, that threw us into poverty, but I'm glad she left him. Wow. JP, man, we were poor but had a tight family unit, which made us feel rich. I had some friends like that. Big families, a lot of love. I had the Thomases. Actually, Letitia died shortly after we graduated high school, sadly. Um, but they still tight today on Facebook. They still tight. So I think that's a beautiful thing when you can get a family that can be that cohesive. Douglas Jones, I didn't realize how privileged I grew up until I met a white guy who really had it hard. His father took him to an orphanage at age 4 and said he'd be right back. He never saw that man again. You know that happened to Jimmy Graham, the tight end for New Orleans Saints. I think he moved to Seattle. His mother at 11 put him in the orphanage. Yes. Ben the bartender. Man, there's so much stuff that happened in that house. Cool Breeze, crackheads is the main reason why I never tried any drug ever. I think I was just scared to do drugs because I've never been high. Richard Brandon, I'm poor at the moment, making less than 20 a year, rebuilding my life. It's a process. You think you're telling that story was crazy? Watching it. Because anyone ever see crackheads fight? Because they will be going at it, and then that rock come out, and then they're best friends again. Mr. Lane, I have a testimony here. I can make a movie about my life. Wow. Lamo, we had spaghetti and M&M. I mean, the meatballs, MREs were the truth. I mean, dudes would like fight over those things. CR2 Lives. I watched many poor family members drag down a productive family member who wanted to prop up those who lack discipline. I used to help until I realized that poor pathology. I love them from afar. Real talk right there. Because unless the person wants to be better, there's nothing you can do. I mean, nothing. Be real, we're still suffering from the crack era. I think some places are. Vaughn B, almost flunking out of college, helped build my work ethic. Didn't want my parents to know I lost my scholarship, had to work and study. Now, see, that's something else because you had a fire lit under your ass. That definitely will improve character. Chef Joseph Kick Sauce. I'm in the hot sauce business and I like your style and message delivery. Appreciate you, bro. It jumped. All right. Richard Branson, I've been seeing a psychotherapist, was diagnosed with HDA years ago, taken off as a child and has struggled since, made 29 a few days ago. One of the things with being poor is a lot of dysfunction happens, that if you got treatment early, it wouldn't be as bad, and then you have to spend money today to fix stuff that happened to you as a kid. I have one friend who's in therapy. I have two that I've urged, actually one I may go. Because one of the things is we got to get rid of this stigma. People need help and they should get help. That's why therapists are here. So kudos to you for going to therapy. Crystal Davis, you are a threat. It's just really crazy because I'm just living my life. Now, I understand when I say I attack the white supremacy myth that people come at me with, yeah, that's threatening because they don't have another narrative to replace it with, so they rather cling to a harmful narrative. Space Donkey, white supremacy is reverse psychology. It is an artificial construct. If you look at the state of white people, the life expectancy of white males has gone down 8 years. I don't think you understand how significant that is. It has gone down in an industrialized nation. Yeah, because the reason I did this, instead of coming out with fire and brimstone, you know, I went through a lot of stuff as kids. Now, I did have some good times. There were good times. But, I mean, if I had to percentage size it, 60-40. 60 bad, 40% good. Or maybe 70-30, depending upon the year. There's just a lot of bad stuff that went down. And that's one of the reasons I'm so driven. I just absolutely like the thing with the person we will not name who comes after me. Like I said, one of the reasons that I did not want to have a kid out of wedlock is I know what it does to the kid. Kids got questions about who dad is and all this other stuff. And even though I married someone and we had 2 kids, it didn't work out. At least I tried. And I was very upset over that because, you know, I was, 45? And I had escaped that. And I mean, you know, it's wild, the number of chicks that I fucked. That shit never happened. And that was one of the reasons that I kind of stayed in contact with them for a little while, just to make sure there was no little G's popping out. And it was just like, because, see, I know how she's going to feel because of the pathology of her mother, who's going to lie, because she has to lie, because she has no character. And, you know, like I said, I'm ready. I got all the papers and stuff in a safety deposit box. I've got recordings. I've got court papers. Because she's going to be told, I don't care. Because, see, once again, when you're dealing with someone who's immature, they're going to lie. And she's going to actually start to believe her lies. And she's going to tell them with authenticity. And then when she comes looking for me, and I'm like, bam, here you go. Because, see, the thing is, I couldn't get her served for custody. The judges, they didn't even want to help me. It was just like, I remember I got her served because she wouldn't give her name to the process server. And the judge was like, dubious service, and wouldn't enforce it. I really think that the judges I got at the city of Atlanta just sucked ass. Really do. Von B, the first Facebook page is like going back to the old neighborhood. When you can't change the people around you, you change the people around you. Yes, sir. Cool breeze. I think the problem is that people that go from rags to riches tend to forget the struggle is what drove them to success, and they fail to pass the drive along to future generations. That's a big thing, because I'm doing that with my daughter right now. She ain't happy about it, but I'm just holding her accountable. Robert, you could never get that government cheese to completely melt. No, you could not. Agent J. Poole, I had that government cheese life. Didn't even know we were poor, but we sure were. Cool breeze. For the record, the most ghetto meal ever is what noodles? Those ramen noodles. Von B, from the first stream to now, I'm still on 75 watching these Alabama cars. One man's way. Hey, folks, I got a sweet resale side hustle going on, buying on Amazon and using coupon sites to buy dirt cheap, then sell it right back on Amazon. I'm making about $2,000 a month. You're welcome. Well, thank you, One Man's Way, for the $10 and the hustle tip. Okay, hold on. Oh, Crystal, definitely a strong family unit, great friends, and lots of love can ease the pain of being poor. Definitely, because there's a lot of people who just don't have that. There are people who have no love in their life. They have no one they can count on. That is just a horrible way to live. Erica Williams, we had poverty for a few years when we couldn't get farm loan. A bunch of family members pushed in one house. Then everyone went military and police officers. Family back on course 3 years later. Sounds like group economics right there. I agree, Mentor Shelley, because one of the reasons I'm doing this, because people come at me as if that I just like snap my fingers and this is my life. When I wrote my first book, I wasn't starting all over again financially. I had a lot of money in the bank, so I'll be honest about that. But I didn't know what the future held. I had almost died, and I was like, I'm gonna write this book. I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. And whoa, look what happened. But I was restarting my life. That is a trip. The DSL Chronicles. You were at You were at Connealy Bay. Yep, I was at Schofield Barracks. Interesting place. Eric Williams basically had to move and make new friends to grow where I'm at now. Hustle with direction is important. Will open doors for other people. Awesome. Dang, Eugene. First time I realized we were poor is when I told the girl I liked that I was eating mac and cheese. True, Von B. I grew up poor too with welfare, food stamps, single mom. I remember those embarrassing moments in the grocery store lines, pulling out food stamps and being teased by other kids. See, this is how I used to do it. I will walk around the store. You ever notice when you walk in the store that the people you come in with often leave at the same time? So if I came in the store with some people, my friends, I would go back outside. And then when I would see them at the checkout line, that's when I would go into the store. So I never was seen by them using those things because that was just very embarrassing. But I know the feeling, Jeremy. I know the feeling. Richard Brown, some of the most delicious foods we eat came from the mind of someone poor. You know what's funny? My Uncle James, he was a chef in the Navy. He came down one summer, and this dude hooked up some pork and beans, some hot dogs, onions, tomatoes, and mustard. It was amazing. It was amazing. So, but you know, he was a chef. He knew how to do that. Simone, I think that's 100% true. And health and weight, being poor is extremely expensive. Ben the bartender, I had the names for the mice. Grew up poor. Hashtag grew up. Wow, man. We had a bunch of cats, so we didn't have mice, but wow. Von B, men tell lies, women live them. I got a paper trail of emails and pictures for both Daughter and the Possible. Because they're going to lie, man. They really are. They're going to demonize you. What's up, Stefan? Klein, I didn't grow up poor. At least one parent had a decent job, another was in school until 12, wherein both my parents were making six figures together. I was homeless for 2 months when I was 23. Homeless shelters suck hard. Man, try a boarding house with some crackheads. I was there for 2.5 years. Eric Williams, it was an old Southern Victorian house, over 6+ rooms. People in my town think we got money because of that old house. Man, we were still struggling for a bit. Well, you put your money together. You had mice, man. My cockroaches wouldn't even let no mice come around there, man. They were like blood and Crips. Oh, man, that's funny. Shoot, we got one pair of no-name sneakers to wear to school all year, and then like 5 outfits. I actually bought a lot of my own clothes, and I had some canvas Nikes. Remember when Nikes came out, and that's what all the popular kids were wearing? Well, my Nikes busted out the sides, right? I actually sewed those joints up. I went ahead and got thread and needle. Fortunately, it had some white thread, and I was able to get in there just enough to sew the shoes up. That's the stuff that I went through as a kid. My jeans had ripped, took needles, sewed them up. There's this guy, he makes these ramen noodles. Just put in prisoner, ex-con makes ramen noodles, because he makes these noodles for prisoners because the regular ramen noodles are so full of sodium. So these have way less sodium. So check him out. Dang, Cody. I remember being poor and had my dad get disabled, and we were feeling that he couldn't keep working. I mean, it's a hurtful thing for a man to be in a situation where he can't support his family. That's just wild. Oh, British Knights, I remember them. All right, so once again, you know, if you come in here afterwards, share your story in the comments of what you went through because you were poor. You know, because there's a lot of people who have been through this, And we know the deal. And you can go from poor to middle class. You can go from middle class to upper middle class. And you can go from middle class to rich. It's a process. It's going to take some time, but you can do it. So with that, I'll see you guys later. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to catch these live streams, go to the live stream notification list, sign up, and be sure to hit yes to confirm. And I will see you guys later.